Namaste. स्वागतं सर्वेषां नमस्सर्वेभ्यः। अद्य शुभमध्याह्ने तृतीयपाठस्य पठनकार्ये अनुसरामः। अस्माभिः अत्र तृतीयपाठस्य चतुर्थभागे सङ्ग्राह्यविषयाः यदस्ति तत् पठित्वा अग्रे सरामः। तत्र किमस्ति, विष्णुः इति लिखितमस्ति। विष्णोः विषये श्लोकद्वयं पठनीयम् अस्माभिः। सुसङ्ग्राह्यविषयाः, items of note of collectible nature. विष्णुः वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. So here the operative part basically is the last three words. Krishnam Vande. Actually these two words only. Okay. Krishnam Vande. This is the operative enclosure for the whole sentence. Rest are what type of Krishna. Okay. What are the qualities with which I name Krishna, and to such a Krishna I offer my salutations. My namanas. Vande. Aham Vande. Just now we studied Vanda Dhatu is Atmanepadi. So Aham is implicit, right? So Aham Vande. Aham Krishnam Vande. That is the operative part here. Aham is of course Adhyahrita. Okay, so then the Kavi, using his understanding of nature of Krishna, all his lakshanas, has described in many ways beautifully. So Vasudeva Sutam. There is a lot to deconstruct in each word. I will normally for the exam purpose you don't need to deconstruct all this. It is sufficient. I have a very insistent crow that wants to also join us. But anyway, so I don't think you are able to hear him. So Vasudevaha. Who is Vasudevaha? Okay, Vasudeva is father of Krishna. We know that, right? So that is why actually one of the names of Krishna is Vasudevaha. That is called Taddita. The technique Vasudevasya Putraha Vasudevaha. It is a technique, a beautiful technique in Sanskritam to derive one from the other. Okay, using a vriddhi. That vriddhi, va becomes va, like that. In some cases, you will hear other variants. So that technique is there. So, but here Vasudeva itself is there, not Vasudeva. So this is actually father of Krishna. Suta is been added as a suffix. Suta, as we know, is a paryaya for putra. So Vasudeva Sutam means to the son. See, Sutam is a karma position, Dvitiya Vibhakti. To the son of Vasudeva. Okay, who is also Krishna, to Krishna. So here that Dvitiya Vibhakti is used everywhere to assert its association with Krishna. I told you Visheshana Visheshya Bhava, that is playing, that is playing. To Vasudeva's Putra, to the God, to Deva, to the one who killed Kamsa and Chanura, to the one who pleases Devaki, extremely pleasing to Devaki, to that Krishna, to that Jagat Guru, to that Lord of the world, Aham Vande, I offer my Namana. So simple. Okay. So that's why everything Dvitiya Vibhakti is tracking the Krishna, and it also helps the beautiful rhyme of the verse. The technique also helps the beautiful rhyme of the verse. Okay. So Vasudeva Sutam Vande, Devam Vande, Kamsamardanam Vande, Chanuramardanam Vande. So Kamsa Chanurayoho Mardanaha Tam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam. To that such a lord. Okay. Mardanaha, the killer. Okay. The one who showed them their their respective gods. Okay. Devaki Parama Ananda. Devaki Paramanandaha is actually a title to Krishna. So he who brings Ananda, Paramananda to Devaki. Okay. His mother. Okay, so to Krishna, to the black one, I offer my namana. So I bow down to Lord Krishna, who is the Lord of the entire world. He is the son of Vasudeva. He is the killer of demons like Kamsa and Chanura. He is the darling of his mother Devaki. Now, uh, uh, here above, what we are seeing, all those things, Vasudeva Sutam, Kamsa Chanura Mardanam, Devaki Paramanandam, Jagat Gurum. These four are all Samastapadas. Okay. So you cannot just break them anywhere. You cannot make it Vasudeva and then Suta. So it is actually a construct which is Vasudevasya Sutam. Okay. If you have to break it, you have to put a vibhakti to the first one. So that is called Vigraha Vakya. That is why we just don't attempt that at this level. We enough to mentally hyphenate that Vasudeva is there, Suta is there, Kamsa is there, Chanura is there, Mardana is there, and the Vibhakti. Devaki is there, Parama Ananda is there. Parama is there, Ananda is there. Okay. And so like the Jagat is there, Guru is there, and then the Vibhakti, like that. Okay, it's enough to recognize at this point. Not wonder what is the nature of that samasa, how is the Vigravakya going to look, etc. Slowly, as we climb, it becomes easier and easier to understand all that detail. At a very base level, there are four types of samasta padas. At a very base level, gross level, there are four types, and each of those types have further subtle variations. Okay, so it's a fairly vast subject, and because it is complex, they teach you this in the top level, in the Kovida level. You are going to learn Samastapada. So your grammar focus is today to learn about basic noun forms and verb forms in this level. In the next level, Parichaya, you are going to migrate to learning something about sandhis, swara sandhis, and few other grammar points, of course, along the way. Then in the third level, you are going to progress to learning Vyanjana sandhis, how words with Vyanjana endings and beginnings will join. Vyanjana sandhis we will learn. And then other grammar points. Everywhere you will be learning some other, in addition to sandhi, you will be learning many other grammar points. And then at the Kovida level, samasa or samastapada is the technique that is going to be taught. Lot of focus is on samasa and samastapada. Of course, that is in the grammar portion of the teachings. The rest also progresses. For example, how these verses we treat them progressively complicates. We won't be probably looking at the same verse, but there are enough other verses. So using those, they teach the more increased analysis techniques as you move towards Kovida. Okay. So it's a very nice progression. So here it is enough to get a gross meaning. So I bow down to Lord Krishna, who is the Lord of the entire world, who is the son of Vasudeva, who is the killer of demons like Kamsa and Chanura, who is also the darling of his mother Devaki, one who brings happiness to extreme happiness to his mother Devaki. Literal translation is slightly different here and there. Okay, because everywhere it is in Dvitiya Vibhakti. So to that such a person, to such a person, to such a person is there in the what you call literal translation, but then they realigned it a little bit in English. Okay. Hmm. So let me read it once more. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Very standard way of reading this verses. Next, another one. Shuklambaradaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये. Okay, so here the operative part is just dhyayet. Okay, so it is a little impersonal. May we pray? May we all pray? May somebody pray. It is a little impersonal in the way it's written. Dhyayet. Okay, may one pray. That sense. Okay, subject himself is not mentioned, so we just take it in a open sense. Okay, and who is the one who may be prayed to? Vishnum dhyayet. Vishnum dhyayet. So the operative portion is again like we saw Krishnam aham vande. Here yakkopi. Okay, Vishnum dhyayet. Whoever may pray. So kimartam, for what reason one may pray? That is there in this word. Sarva vigna upashantaye. Okay. So for the sake of upashanti, for the sake of shamana, shanti of all the vignas, sarva vignanam upashantaye, for that reason. Okay. So that is the Chaturthi vibhakti sense. Okay. So sarva vignopashantaye dhyayet. Okay. Next, rest of them, just like we saw earlier, is a qualifier to Vishnu. Shuklam Baradaram Chaturbhujam Shashivarnam Prasannavadanam Vishnum. Kidrisham Vishnum. Okay. Shuklambaradharam Vishnum. What is Shuklambaradaram? Shukla is Shubra or white. Okay. Ambara is cloth. Generally silken cloth, but cloth of high quality. Dharam, one who is wearing. So actually Vishnu's one name is Shuklambara Dharaha, the one who is wearing Shubra cloths. Okay. So then that is to him is Shuklambara Dharam Vishnum Dhyayet. Punah Kidrisham Vishnum Shashivarnam Vishnum. One who is of the color of the moon. Okay. Shashivarna is color of the moon. You can take it as ivory color, you can take it as white. Okay. So to such a Vishnu. Then Chatur, or you can even take Shashaka generally is also white. Shashaka is also white generally, though we do get Krishnavarniya Shashakas, but that's also. But Shashi here refers to Chandra. Okay. So Shashivarnam, Chandravarnam, Vishnum. Okay. Then Chaturbhujam Vishnum, the one who has 4 shoulders. So he is, most famously depicted having 2 pairs of 2 arms, right? So Chaturbhujam. Okay. So we are all Dvibhujas. He is a Chaturbhuja. Okay. Chaturbhujam. So Chaturbhujaha Vishnu. Chaturbhujam Vishnu. Prasanna Vadanaha. One who is having a pleasing face. Pleasant face or a pleasing face. Both are good, na? He has a pleasant face. He has a pleasant face because his face is pleasing to us. So pleasing face or pleasant face, both can be taken there. Huh? So then Sarva Vigna Upashantaye, we already explained that. Okay, for removal of calming down of all the obstacles, for removal of all the obstacles. So let us see how the English summary is. We should pray. So here they have taken dhyayet, they have taken in the sense of commandment a little bit. We should pray. You can also take it as we may pray. Okay, there is no diction like it has to be should. Okay, we may pray. May we pray, actually slightly better. May we pray to Lord Vishnu to remove all the hurdles in our path of success being implicit there. He is wearing clean white cloth robes. See, Shubram, Shuklam. So white. So both cleanliness and whiteness is indicated by Shuklatva or Shubratva. Okay. Robes is Ambara and shining like the moon, Shashivarnam. So here they took a little bit more like shining like the moon, which is also nice. Shashivarna is said to be silvery also, not just white. So shining is appropriate for that color. Okay, silvery moon, right? So shining like the moon. He has 4 arms. It's a little lame the way they have put it. We pray to such a person who is adorned with 4 shoulders. Something like that is a little more colorful. Then his face is always blissful. We pray to such a person whose face is always blissful to us, like that. Okay. All right. So let's read both of them once. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Sar Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So basically, because a lot of literature in Samskrita Vangmaya relates to these prayers, they also offer us an opportunity to learn the grammar. The focus here is of grammar, but these are also for us Hindus in amongst us here, it's a good pair of prayers to learn. Okay, we'll move forward. Next, Samskrita Vangmaya Parichayaha. Like I told, Samskrita Bhashayaha Vakmaya Vangmaya. That is the world of speech of Sanskrit. Okay, Parichaya, an introduction to it. Okay, some more things. See, we in our normal scholastic thing, we are only taught about all the Western. For some reason, we have kept the Macaulay syllabus largely. So we know everything about all the kritis of Shakespeare and anybody that may have been born with some sense in that part of the world. We know very little about our own past unless our grandmothers and mothers who have that samskara brought it to us in our childhood, right? So here they are, as part of this book series, Samskrita Bharati is attempting to give some insight to those who may have missed these learnings from their home environment, because not every family has the fortune to know enough to tell their children. So this is a good place to learn. So they are collecting these things. So next item, we saw about Vedas, we saw about Upanishads, we saw about various classifications of darshanas. So this time it is about Puranas. Another, you can call it as a compendium of works in the Samskrita Vangmaya is Purana. Puranam is the Napumsaka pada, so Puranani. Okay, so these are the 18 primary Puranas. There are some more. These are the main Puranas, 18 number. There are some Upapuranams also. They have already hinted at it, but right now they are talking about the 8 Mahapuranas. Sometimes we use the word Mahapurana. Mahapuranas in English are Mahapuranani in Sanskrit. So we go Matsya Puranam, Markandeya Puranam, Bhagavata Puranam, Bhavishyat Puranam. See the Halantya. Bhavishyat Puranam, Brahmanda Puranam, Brahma Vaivarta Puranam, Brahma Puranam, Vamana Puranam, Varaha Puranam, Vishnu Puranam, Vayu Puranam, Agni Puranam, Narada Puranam, Padma Puranam, Linga Puranam, Garuda Puranam, Kurma Puranam, Skanda Puranam. Just a minute. Okay. So one simple way to memorize this is, some of them are Dashavatara names that we very well know. Kurma Avatara we know. We know Vayu Purana. Okay, Vayu Purana is famous, not an avatar. Vishnu. So Kurma, Vishnu, Varaha, Vamana, and Bhagavata. Bhagavata being Krishna. Actually, Krishna Puranam you can even call it. So many of the Dashavataras of Vishnu are also Puranas. Okay, I mean basically the description of some of those avatars are part of these Puranas. Okay, in addition to being there in to some extent in Mahabharatam, you can say Krishna's life story comes as part of Mahabharata, but focus on Krishna's life story is in Bhagavata Purana, like that. Okay, but remember, these Puranas are not just focusing on giving storyline of the so-called avatars and things like that. They actually have lot of other amazing details, like for example, lot of mathematics details, number series details, earth origins, earth srishti details. These things come many times. There some repeated portions are there as the lead off in most of these Puranas. Okay, so there is some kind of a standard start to all of these Puranas, and then each deviates to go into its Purana Purusha. Okay, so that's the style, and it is very conversational. Very interesting style of narration. Anyway, so we know, easy to remember, Kurma, Varaha, Vamana, and Vishnu. So 5 Bhagavata also. Okay, so many of them are familiar to us. Yes, Bhagini?
Matsya Purana.
Matsya is also correct. I missed it. I am sorry. See, Bhaginis are very sharp here. Matsya Purana is also there. So many of them are avatars already that we are familiar with. So very easy. Already we can score some marks. So those which are strange only we have to, which we may not have heard otherwise, we have to remember. So we know there are 3 Brahma variations. Another quick way: Brahmanda, Brahma Vaivarta, and Brahma. So we know 3 variants. So also Brahmanda is easy to remember. Okay. Brahmanda literally referring to the universe aspect. Brahma Vaivarta, some Genesis related stuff, and then Brahma Purana itself. So Brahma, Brahma Vaivarta, Brahmanda. So that is 3 more that we can add to our kitty. Then it is easy enough to remember Linga Puranam and Skanda Puranam as being the 2 Shaivite specific Puranams here. You can see some more may be there, but at least I can immediately recognize. So Linga being symbol of Shiva. So you can literally read that otherwise as Shiva Puranam. Skanda, that is actually Subramanya. Okay, Skanda Puranam. So that is a Vriddhi of Skanda only. Okay, so that is there. 2 of them are easy to add on. So then Garuda, the Vahana of Vishnu, easy to add on. Narada, how can there be a Purana without Narada? He looks like he has his own Purana. He is our favorite character. So Narada Puranam, so he is there. Then Padma Puranam, a few others have to. Agni and Vayu are easy to remember. Remember the 5 elements. So out of those, Vayu and Agni get their Puranas. Very nice. Vayu Puranam, Agni Puranam. So that's also easy to add to the list. So then a few more we have to now add. Markandeya, Bhavishyat Puranam, and pretty much we covered, I think, rest of them. See, so Markandeya and Bhavishyat don't have any specific explanation in my mind because I don't identify with anything, but some of you might identify. Okay. So if Purana is about past, then there is one Purana about future. So that way to remember Bhavishyat Puranam. So that's also covered. Markandeya is one name that has to somehow you have to make it stand out. Okay.
Mahodaya.
Please, Bhagini.
We can learn it in any order.
Yes, yes. Nobody is going to
There is
ask you
no
the sequence. There is actually, this is just Samskrita Bharati happened to list it like this. Who knows which is first, which is next? Very difficult. Okay. So there is no order. But
And
they
we have
have
to
put it
by
in an order to suit this verse we are going to read next. Okay. The order they have given is to suit the verse. This is, you know, you remember we used to, I don't know who here has done some electronics study in their life. So we used to remember the color coding of values of resistors and capacitors using some kind of a phrase, na? So Rama goes to the school, something, something. So R means 1 and is red, and like that we used to remember things like that. So same technique has been there in the ancient Sanskrit Vangmaya also. So the next one is actually a technique by which students used to remember these names. Okay. It is somewhat helpful, but I think the other way that I described is easier. 5 avatars, a couple of Vishnu, or basically a Linga Purana and Skanda Purana. Like this is easier to recollect because there are associations that we connect with. Okay, Garuda, Narada, 2 characters in Vishnu along with Vishnu. So these kind of ways are easy to remember. So the next verse goes like this. The following verse helps us to remember the names of Puranas. Madvayam, Bhadvayam, Chaiva, Bhratrayam. Sorry, Bhratrayam, no Mahaprana. Bhratrayam, Vachatuštayam, Anapalinga Kuskani, Puranani Prachakshate. Okay, unless we can now start to memorize this verse, it's not too easy. Okay, but anyway, they have given for those who wish to remember it like a stotra. So it's only giving a mild hint. It reminds you there are 2 Makara beginning Puranas. So that is Matsya and Markandeya, Madvayam, Bhadvayam, Bhagavatam, Bhagavata Puranam, Bhavishyat Puranam. And then Cha Eva, it is just a Padapuraka, and also Bratrayam. So Brahmanda Puranam, Brahma Vaivarta Puranam, Brahma Puranam. It's easy enough to remember them as three Brahma Puranas. Okay, Bratrayam. Then Vachatushtayam. Vamana Puranam, Varaha Puranam, Vishnu Puranam, Vayu Puranam. Vachatushtayam. So that's the next. Then next they are lost for giving any shortcut. So they just make some pronounceable combination of the rest. Anapalinga Kuskani. Okay. A stands for there Brahma,
Agni.
Vamana, Varaha, Vishnu, Vayu, Agni. Okay. Agni Puranam, Narada Puranam for Na, Padma Puranam Pa, Linga Puranam Ling, Garuda Puranam Ga, Kurma Puranam, Skanda Puranam, and then Tani, because it's all Napumsaka, they have made it Ni to make it Napumsaka plural. So Anapalinga Kuskani. Maybe it's not too bad to remember Anapalinga Kuskani like that. Puranani Prachakshate. These are told as the Puranas, are seen as Puranas. I like that. Right. So whom do we have here?
Prachakshate.
Some of the Puranic characters are. Yes, Varya?
Prachakshate means
Uh, are seen like that. Okay.
okay.
Chakshuhu, Chakshuhu. I think it is something related to eye. So must be something like that. Prachakshate must be are observed, are told, are seen, that kind of thing. Okay. More subtly we can check, but the dhatu and the knowledge of the word chakshu tells me it is related to that. Okay.
With upasarga pra.
With pra. Now, chakshate, is there a chaksh? I have to check, or whether cha comes from some other addition. I'm not too sure. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
But it is an atmanepadi dhatu. That is clear. Prachakshate. Astu. All right. Anything else? Nothing much more for me to add. You guys need to, of course, memorize this somewhat. Okay. Like the techniques I told you should be helpful. So here what do we have? We have actually some avatars, but there is no Narasimha Purana in the Mahapurana list. But there may be a Narasimha Purana for those who are Bhaktas of Narasimha. That Purana may be Mahapurana. That's okay. Okay. So see, this is Matsya Avatara, Kurma Avatara, Varaha Avatara, and then Narasimha Avatara or Nrisimha Avatara, one of the two alternatives. And this is Vamana Avatara. Yeah, with a Chatha. So Vamana Avatara. So 5 of the avatars are listed here. Okay. So this is also beautifully explained also as the evolution path also by many. So the sea life, the amphibious life, the primitive forest life with with Rajas Bhava, then half man, half lion. So the mixed evolution. Then the tiny man, the simple early forms of human. Like this, it has been also explained as an evolution path. It does look like that. So why not? You can take it like that. Lot of sense and logic was there in whatever our ancients composed. We can never overestimate their capability. So I will accept that they had painted evolution in these avatars. Okay. So by that order, it is nice. Matsya Puranam, maybe you can call this the first Purana. Okay. Shastrani. So the another aspect of the Samskrita Vangmaya Parichaya is about Shastras. Okay, let us read what they say about it. In the Sanskrit literature, there are works or Shastras containing varied topics such as origin of the world, categories of objects in this world, liberation, mukti, that is, etc. Some Shastras and their important treatises are named below. Alankara Shastram. This is actually related to poetry. Okay. Actually, for us, poetry just didn't mean poems. Poetry meant any literature, whether it was of textual nature or verse metric in nature. Okay. So With what Samskrita Bharati has done is they are trying to introduce us to various varieties there. So Alankara Shastra is one variant, Vyakarana Shastra is another variant, Tarka Shastra is another class. Okay, Purva Mimamsa Shastra is actually a Darshana also. So under that, so it is known as Shastra and Darshana. Under that Darshana, there are many Shastras. So they're talking about that Mula and then supportive. Then Uttara Mimamsa Shastram. So again, this is also a Darshana. So this is a little loose overlapping classification. Okay. So in fact, later on you will see some of this Vyakarana and others are also considered as Vedangas in some sense, because without knowing Vyakarana, you cannot start study of Vedas, etc. So there are some overlapping definitions. So this Shastra is a loose classification. Okay. So the Darshana, Vedanga, Veda, Brahmana, Upanishad, those things what we saw, they are more classical. The Shastrani is a generic title that has been thrown in. Okay. One thing that is, for example, even Veda contains Alankara. Okay. So nothing is not there in Vedas. Vedas contain Alankara. It definitely is according to certain Vyakarana rules. Then you do need Tarka to understand the Pramana techniques used there. Then Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa is literally about the Saramsha of Veda only. So there is no debate at all that there are linked to Vedas in some way. Anyway, let us look at this list now. Our focus is not to argue about them, to understand. So Alankara Shastra, some important few granthas and granthakartas or kritikaras, they have been listed. Okay. So roughly we have to remember statistically a good number of them if you can manage that. Okay. Dhvanyalokaha Anandavardhanaha is an important text that talks about the different types of alankaras and gives examples and goes into detailed analysis of why this is a purnopama, why this is a luptopama, why this like this. There are rupaka alankara, there are tons of alankaras. Okay, and this alankara is all related to poetic alankaras, and uh, to some extent that extends into even Natya Shastra and all that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then Rasagangadaraha. Okay, is the another name of another grantha. Rasagangadaraha. Rasa, you see, rasa is about the bhava of various types of moods that elicit in our mind. So Rasagangadaraha. Okay. So this book is supposed to be like the river Ganga, who is wearing many rasas. That's how he named it Rasa Gangadhara. Anyway, his author's name is Jagannatha. Jagannatha. Nice, easy name to remember. Then Sahitya Darpanam. Sahitya Darpanam. Darpanam means mirror. Okay. Sahitya Darpanam means a mirror to the Sahitya. That means it shows us what is Sahitya. Sahitya is another name for the Kavya. Okay. Sahitya. So Vishwanatha is the author of that. Usually it will be some Vishwanatha Bhattaha, Jagannatha Bhattaha, something like that, but they just given the actual name. Vishwanatha, Jagannatha, Anandavardhana. Okay, all right. Then next is Vyakarana Shastra, very critical for us who are learning Sanskritam, Vyakarana Shastra. So this Vyakarana Shastra is also called Trimuni Vyakaranam, not due to the three munis listed here, but I will tell you anyway. Trimuni Vyakaranam or Paniniya Vyakaranam, like that it's called. The most important muni who is contributor to this Shastra is Panini. Paninihi. Okay, Ashtadhyayi is his treatise. Okay, and also he is the author of Ganapatas, Dhatupatas, and all that. It's not just Ashtadhyayi. He's done more works. There even attribute some Sahitya works, normal Sahitya works to him, but they are all Lupta. Only references to the Panini Sahitya work exist in other Sahitya work. We have lost more than we can imagine, and then what remains is massive, and we only have understood a little bit of that. So to the extent we are actually in this generation, what we know is very little compared to the vastness of this Shastras. Ashtadhyayi of Panini, and he is just one of the Vyakaranakaras. There are supposed to be dozens of Vyakarana schools with their own sutra texts and all that. Many still remain, some remain, but many more are lost. Okay. Then Siddhanta Kaumudi is in the lineage of Panini Vyakarana, Siddhanta Kaumudi of Bhattoji Dikshita. This is a very fairly modern work compared to Panini and Patanjali's work. This Bhattoji Dikshita's Siddhanta Kaumudi is only few centuries old. We are talking of Vijayanagar Empire, that era. Okay. So, last hurrahs of the Hindu kingdoms. You can say. Okay. Bhattoji Dikshita, he wrote this Siddhanta Kaumudi. It's a beautiful work. What he did was, he took the sutras of Ashtadhyayi and reordered them to suit the actual target what we want. Suppose you want to learn sandhis and you want to learn, let us say, Savarna Dirgha Sandhi. So you can go specifically to Bhattoji Dikshita's work and understand the prakriyas, the kind of processes involved for doing Savarna Dirgha Sandhi. Because Panini's interest is in making a most compact software. Okay. So he wants to make the most compact software for generating Sanskrit words. That is Panini's Ashtadhyayi work. Because he wants to make it most compact, his sutra order suits him. Okay, he wanted to put that sutra which will help him to minimize the number of sutras needed going forward. Though there is actually a general grouping of sutras with respect to certain prakriya, some of the sutras are more universal than just one prakriya, right? So he just puts them in a certain order that is convenient for him. Whereas Bhattoji Dikshita tries to bring together all the sutras that relate to certain prakriya and then proceeds. But even in Bhattoji Dikshita's work, Siddhanta Kaumudi, he is not interested in copycatting a sutra elsewhere again because it is needed. He will just put a reference. This is from that sutra which is already explained in that Siddhanta Kaumudi number. So he created his own numbering, Siddhanta Kaumudi numbering. So every Ashtadhyayi sutra is also numbered with a Siddhanta Kaumudi number. 4,000 sutras are there roughly. So up to 4,000 numbers are there in Siddhanta Kaumudi also. Okay. All right. So that is Siddhanta Kaumudi. So Ashtadhyayi is Sutra Grantha. Siddhanta Kaumudi is Prakriya Grantha, we call it. It's according to the Prakriya means the actual requirement of generation. So Sandhis are taught in one place, Samasas in other place, Stri Pratyayas are in one place, like that. Okay. The Siddhanta Kaumudi is so massive. There are many variations, simplified, abridged versions that are also been worked on. One of the most famous one is Laghu Siddhanta Kaumudi of Varadaraja, which is still taught actively in Sanskrit schools, etc. So as we know, Vyoma Sanskrit Vyoma labs, through their Sanskrit from home in or some such portal, Guruvarya Soumya Krishna Puravarya even today teaching Laghu Siddhanta Kaumudi in the most easy way that one who is not so much already in Samskrita Vangmaya can understand. She is teaching them. It's all Sanskrit medium teaching, not English medium, Sanskrit medium teaching, but nobody can teach better than her. So she is doing that. Okay. Then Mahabhashyam, he is one of the three munis along with Panini. Patanjali, his work is amazing work. So every little subtle detail about every sutra, letter, word of Ashtadhyayi. So actually, if you read Ashtadhyayi, you will understand nothing. Okay. It's like reading some cryptic formula. A equal to B square plus C, C minus A is equal to A star B. Like that he goes, Panini. Okay. What do you make out of it? Unless you jump into his terminologies, you are lost. So Mahabhashyam helps us in that way. Okay. So those who explain Ashtadhyayi actually depend on what they have learnt about each sutra from Mahabhashyam. Lot of examples and all that he has explained. And also there is one more, the second Muni is called Katyayana. Okay. Katyayana's Vartika, that work is called Vartikam or something like that. That is actually Lupta, that is lost as a direct text, we don't have it. But thanks to Patanjali, who has unfailingly recoded the Vartika verses as part of his Mahabhashyam to Ashtadhyayi, the Vartika has been reconstructed, not as a separate grantha, as a corollary to every Ashtadhyayi sutra. What Vartikas are available are enlisted. So with Patanjali, we get back Katyayana's work. So Panini, Katyayana has another name. I forget the other name, I'm sorry. So then Patanjali, they form the three munis. But Bhattoji Dikshita is extremely of practical use for us because he has reordered the sutras and again explained them in his own way in his Grantha. Okay. And what Varadaraja did was, because boys in the Gurukula Paddhati, small boys cannot memorize so much, he made a Laghu version, most critical edition type of thing, and taught that. And he also did not go into too much explanation. He summarized the explanation in again his own way, technique. Okay, so that's another famous work. So today the teaching is usually started with Laghu Siddhanta Kaumudi as a base text to explain, and then slowly people use reference books. The Ashtadhyayi is used as a reference, and Mahabhashyam is used as a reference, and Siddhanta Kaumudi is used as an additional reference. And one person called Shriman Nilesh Bodas, or Nilesh Bodas. I don't know how to pronounce his second name completely. I think Bodas only. Okay, because that sounds more Sanskrit. So he is actually a Google engineer. I don't know. He's still in Google, but he was a very brilliant Google engineer. He probably comes from his family may have some Shastric lineage, whatever. I don't know personally that, but he has dedicated a large part of his life for Sanskritam. Okay, I don't know. He still works probably in Google. I don't know that, but he's dedicated a large part of his life now. He's still a very young person, probably early 30s or something like that. That's what I can guess. So he has created a portal which has now become the motherlode portal for us for Sanskritam, called ashtadhyayi.com. Okay, in English you have to type it ashtadhyayi.com. That portal has all these things electronically linked up, okay, and cross-referenced, etc. So all the Shastrakaras, when they did their work, they had to keep everything in their head. So at least what Nilesh Bodasvarya has done is at least electronic fight for us who are Mandamatis like me need that reference. Okay. Okay, I went on and on about Vyakarana, but I hope I didn't bore you to death. Yes, Bhagini?
Mahoday, then Patanjali was, I mean, Patanjali and Panini both were like contemporaries?
No,
or
no. Actually, the books talking about Panini is very
more
ancient.
ancient?
Like they put him at 5th century BC, like that. Okay. Patanjali is said to be centuries later than Panini.
Okay.
Patanjali is said to be centuries later than Panini. Okay. And
Thank
Dikshita, like I told you, is only 3-4 centuries earlier than us.
Okay.
So what we are looking at is actually millennia of work in one collection. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Tarka Shastram. This one is basically some people call it Nyaya Shastram also. Tarka Shastram is the current word because it is the Shastra of argumentation. Tarka, as you know, it means argue. So when you argue, you have to have certain signs of argument, right? You have to have some logical flow of proving something, disproving something, giving a reason, throwing a challenge, things like that. So that all that is called Tarka Shastra. So the root text of that is Nyaya Sutrani, again a Sutra Grantha. See, Ashtadhyayi is a Sutra Grantha. So Nyaya Sutrani is also a Sutra Grantha. The base sutras is the Gautama's Nyaya Sutrani. Then there are others who expand upon it, just like here Bhattoji Dikshita, Patanjali. So Nyaya Manjari, Jayanta Bhattaha, Tattva Chintamanihi, Ganeshopadhyayah. Just a few have been listed here. It is a very vast world, Tarka Shastra. Tons of works are there. There is something called Navya Nyaya. Okay. actually that emerged in the Bengal region, Navya Nyaya. So there is a newer technique of explaining things, extremely rigorous scientific way of stating something. Okay, what is based on what is defined by what is manifested by whom, etc., and pointing vectors everywhere and then stating something so that nothing is dubious. Okay, so like there is a technique of arguing and stating things, so that is what it is. It's very exacting use of language to explain things. Okay, then Purva Mimamsa Shastram. Okay, so that also has a sutra grantha called Jaimini Sutrani. Jaiminihi. So this Purva Mimamsa is said to be analysis of the Karma Kanda of Vedas. How to understand the Karma Kanda of Vedas? What is Karma Kanda? Where yajna, yaga, all those things, homas, all those things that we do as part of Vedic culture. No? So anything that is related and useful to perform those is called Karma Kanda. So the base Samhita, then Brahmana and Aranyaka, etc. They are all called Karma Kandas. Okay, they are more about Upasana. Then there is Jnana Kanda. So Purva Mimamsa is the analytical text for Karma Kanda portion, and Uttara Mimamsa is the Saramsha of the Jnana Kanda, Brahma Sutrani. Okay, so this is also a sutra text. You see, so Patanjali's Ashtadhyayi is a sutra text. You cannot crack it just with itself. You need experts to help us. Same with Nyaya Sutra, though that's not as tough a nut to crack. Then Jaimini Sutras, very again very involved. Then Brahma Sutras, very difficult sutras. Okay, lots of people have attempted analysis of this and created, each one per giant who has managed to explain it in his way has created his own lineage of Shishyas and a Mata. For example, today we have Ramanujacharya's followers, we have Madhvacharya's followers, we have Shankaracharya's followers. Like that, they are all because they are all actually followers of the gurus who managed to make a congruent interpretation of the Brahma Sutras to a particular thought process, a lineage. Okay, so it's a very important text for that reason. Okay, so I'll go back. Nyaya Sutrani Gautamaha, Nyaya Manjari Jayanta Bhattaha, Tattva Chintamanihi, Ganeshopadhyayah. I have no clue to offer how you will remember these things. Just to do your best. Purva Mimamsa Shastram, Jaimini Sutrani, Jaiminihi. Easy to remember Jaimini. Then Tantra Vartikam, Kumarila Bhattaha. Okay. Then Shabara Bhashyam, Shabaraswami. Okay. All right. Then Uttara Mimamsa Shastram, Vedanta Shastram. It's also known as Vedanta Shastram because it's more focusing on the Upanishadic teachings aspect of Vedas. Okay, like I told you, the Purva Mimamsa is Karma Kanda, Uttara Mimamsa is this thing, Jnana Kanda. So Dhyana Kanda, Jnana Kanda. Brahma Sutrani, of course, Dhyana can be Jnana, so I don't know. Okay, maybe Karma Kanda will just remain with that word. So Brahma Sutrani, Badarayana Vyasaha. Actually, Badarayana is written here. He is known as Badarayana Vyasaha. So is different from Vaishampayana. Okay. Upanishadaha, many unknown authors. Bhagavad Gita Vyasa. This is our Veda Vyasa. Okay. This part of Mahabharata, of course. All right. So see that's listed alongside Upanishad, like I told you. It's called as Gita Upanishad. So this triad forms Vedanta Shastra. Okay. Brahma Sutrani, Upanishadaha, Bhagavad. This is a plurality of texts. As I told you, there are hundreds of them, but there are 10 critical ones. Then Bhagavad Gita. All right. We should move on. Always enjoy whenever I prepare these slides to pick some relevant, nice, beautiful pictures people have produced. Such beautiful, some artists have done brilliant work to picturize the world that was of Gurukulas. What a beautiful, with a lot of these beautiful Indian roller birds sitting all over, Mayuras. One can imagine there was a kutira like that and all that. Nice. Okay, and here is an Agnihotri performing some Vedic ritual. Katha. Okay, so today's Katha is Moodaha Jambukaha. The fool, that fox, the foolish fox. So let's see whom to invite. I saw a new name today. I thought of inviting that person. She's still around. Neelima Divekar. Neelima Divekar Varye.
Yes, yes.
Ha, you are muted. Thanks, Bhagini. Bhagini, today you are our protagonist to read this story slowly. The rule is to pause after every sentence and I will give some gyan and then we will keep moving like that. Okay? Yeah.
Okay. Moodah Jambukah.
Little bit louder, Bhagini. Huh? Yeah.
Moodah Jambukah. Ekah Jambukah asti.
So Moodaha means the fool. Okay. So because it is a Visheshana to Jambuka, the foolish fox is how we take the derivation. Jambuka means a fox. So masculine. So if it is Mooda, it better be masculine, the ladies will say. So Moodaha Jambuka. Ekaha Jambukaha asti. This is a way of starting off the story. Na? Once upon a time is assimilated into that Ekaha. It is not so much as one Jambukaha. It is more about once there was a fox. Continue, Bhagini.
Sah ekada aharatham vane brahmati.
So here everything is given in present tense, but still there is an implicit nature of it being in the past. But it is presented to us as if it is currently unfolding in front of our eyes. So this I should read more like there is a fox. Okay, that fox once, ekada, one time. Okay, ekada, dvida, trida, one time, twice, thrice. This one, sarvada, all the time. Okay, see the da suffix is like a time element attached to the number or the sarva aspect of it. Okay, tada, at that time. Okay, these kind of variants are there. Saha ekada aharartham, for the purpose of food. Artham, like you said, the suffix is like for the purpose of. So for the purpose of getting food, getting is implicit there. For the purpose of food, vane brahmati, in the forest. Vane saptami adhikarana, in the forest, brahmati. So because saha brahmati, so he roams around, moves around. Continue, Bhagini.
Ekatrah sah drakshalatam pashyati.
Ekatra, at one place. Bhagini is so soft. I feel like I think she is hiding some 4 sleeping children next to her. Anyway, that's fine, Bhagini. We
Actually, that
can
is
listen
true.
to you. Not
Actually,
a
that is
problem.
true.
Huh?
Actually, that is true. I am in US, so it is 6:30 in the morning. So
Oh, Bhagini, so sweet of you to join at this time and follow the lessons. Anyway, sorry, I think I guessed it right why you are quiet. Okay. Huh. So ekatra, at one place. See tatra, over there, atra, here, sarvatra, everywhere. Ekatra, at one place. Okay, how beautiful the language is. Ekatra, at one place. There is a automatic adhikarana sense to this tra. Okay, at one place. Saha, that is Jambukaha, drakshalatam pashyati. He sees a grape wine. Grape wine as a karma pada because it is the object of darshana. So jakshalatam pashyati, he sees. Continue, begin.
लतायाम अनेकानि द्राक्षाफलानि सन्ति.
In that lata, latayam. So this is saptami ekavachana. Okay, latayam, sitayam, in sita. So latayam, in that lata. In this case, this is not sita lata. This is actually grapevine lata. Okay, original lata, not the duplicate lata. Sorry. Okay. Anekani draksha phalani santi. Many fruits of drakshi or draksha, okay, exist, are there, like that. Continue.
तानि पक्वानि.
They were all ripe, not just they exist, they are all smelling heavenly. Yo, tough. Continue, Bhagini.
जम्बुकः चिन्तयति अद्य मम द्राक्षफलानां भोजनम् इति.
So our fox is already ahead of times. So he doesn't know what is going to ensue. He thinks, ah, adya, today, mama, my, draksha palanam bhojanam. Huh? Lunch of grapes. Okay. Iti. So he thinks. Okay. So he is already slurping his tongue. Continue, Bhagini. Oh, क्या हो
Hello.
गया? हाँ, continue, Bhagini.
Draksham labdum upari utpatati.
Draksham. So the grape as a karma pada. Draksham. Okay. Singular here. Labdum to obtain. To obtain the grape. Okay. Upari utpatati. Upari above. Utpat. See this utpatati sound. Ut is up. Pat is down. Okay. So it jumps up and falls down. That means it jumps. In collective, it is jumps. Okay. So upari utpatati, it jumps up. Obviously, it comes down. Draksham labdum upari utpatati, it jumps up. Continue, Bhagini.
Kintu drakshafalani na prapnoti.
But kintu is like but like that. Okay. Draksha palani, the grapefruits. Okay, as karma pada, plural this time. Na prapnoti, he does not obtain. So prapnoti is referring to the karta jambukaha. So jambukaha is not said in this sentence, but is implicit. Jambu kintu sahajambukaha Drakshapalani na prapnoti or Drakshapalam na prapnoti. Whether it's palam or palani, it is in Dvitiya Vibhakti. Remember, in Napumsakalinga, palam pale palani, palam pale palani, it repeats in the second Vibhakti, same way as first Vibhakti. So, since Jambuka is the Karta, palani cannot be the Karta. Palani has to be the object of prapti. So, it is in Dvitiya. That's how we conclude. Okay? Na prapnoti. Continue, Bhagini.
Jambukaha punah punah utpatati.
He's not going to give up. So our fellow again and again, see this technique. Okay, ancient Sanskrit techniques. Punah punaha, again and again. There is no need to say punaha punaha cha. Cha is not needed. Punaha punaha is enough. Jambukaha punaha punaha utpatati. He jumps.
Tathapi palani na prapnoti.
Despite all that, okay, tatha api, even so, and even so, phalani, the fruits as objects, na prapnoti, jambukaha na prapnoti. Same sentence here, okay? Slight variant they have given. Continue, Bhagini.
Jambukaha kupitaha bhavati.
Oh, our Jambuka becomes very angry. He becomes an angry fella. See, this Kupitaha is a Visheshana to Jambuka. Okay, so it is said in the sense of angry fella. So the fox, angry fella, he becomes. See this Bhavati, that's what I was pointing out to earlier. You cannot use Asti here. See that there Asti was very perfect. Ekaha Jambukaha Asti. There is no, because he is. Whereas here, this Bhavati brings the sense of becomes. Okay, so you see that become sense cannot come in asdhatu. You cannot replace bhavati with asti here. Though it is an accurate statement to say jambukaha kupitaha asti, it doesn't convey the karya karana bhava. Bhavati conveys that because he failed to get the fruits, he became angry. That is their sense is there in bhavati. So he becomes angry. His sense is better in bhavati, not in asti. That's why bhavati and asti are variants. Continue, Bhagini.
Sah tani drakshapalani dushayati.
So what he will do? Our Jambuka, Tani Draksha Palani. Here they have added a Visheshana, Tani Sarvanama Visheshana, Tani to Draksha Palani, just to teach us. Okay? Because he doesn't want to blame other Draksha Palas elsewhere. He will need them one day. So these very Draksha Palas that he has failed to catch, them as Karmapada, Bahuvachana, Dushayati, Jambukaha Dushayati. Again, Pratama Purusha Ekavachana. To go with Saha Jambukaha. Dushayati. Dushanam means to scold or blame or abuse, that thing. Okay? Bhagini, continue.
Drakshafalani amlani. iti vadati.
Draksha palani. This is in karta position now. Okay. Draksha palani amlani santi. Santi is not been said. Okay. Draksha palani amlani. These grapefruits are sour. Amlani. So this is Visheshana to Drakshapalani. Okay, but it is stated as a consequence. So Drakshapalani, Amlani, Santi. Like that. Okay, the order matters. Okay, so Amlani, Drakshapalani doesn't give the same tenor to the sentence as saying Drakshapalani, Amlani. So that's a slightly more stress. Of course, it's more in the kaku. Okay, more in the voice that you do that. Iti vadati. So quote. Iti always is a quote closure. So this is a sentence within the quote and this is a overall sentence including the quote. So he says, Iti jambukaha vadati. Continue, Bhagini.
Anantaram swasthanam gacchati.
Obviously, what else to do? He does palayana. Actually, palayate is used in, there is a beautiful song of this jambuka. Okay. I will see if I can access a recording of that and share in our WhatsApp group. It's a beautiful song to teach children. Okay. Literally this utpatati, you can make the nursery kids dance with it and they just love this song. In fact, we adults love it itself. So why not the kids? So I will try to share a video of that song if possible, or at least audio. Anantaram swasthanam gacchati. So actually in the actual song he will do palayana. Okay, so he goes back home. So that is the story. Well read, Bhagini. Thanks for your contribution all the way from Americas.
Thank you.
So now the time to answer some questions about this story. Okay. Etesham uttaram likhata. Jambukaha aharartam kutra atati. Let us invite collective answer also is fine. You can answer. Jambukaha aharartam kutra atati.
Vane
Vane atati.
Vane
Vane atati. Aranye atati. Vane is there directly. So there they have used Brahmati. Here they have used atati. They're just showing some color variations of using different dhatus. Huh? Nice. Okay. Number 2, very easy one to answer. So Jambukaha aharartam vane atati. We got that is the answer there highlighted. So Jambukaha kim pashyati?
Jambukaha Drakshalatam
Kaha drakshalatam
Ah,
pashyati.
Draksha latam pashyati.
Latam
Focus on the lata.
pashyati.
Okay. Draksha latam. But even if you say Draksha palani pashyati, not a incorrect statement. Consequentially, he is going to look at Draksha palani only. So ekatra is not needed. Draksha latam pashyati. Number 3, Latayam Kani Santi.
Latayam
Latayam Draksha Phalani
anekani draksha phalani santi.
Santi. Very good. Draksha Palani Santi. So that's what. Latayam Anekani you can
Ani
put in if you wish. Not needed. The essential answer is Draksha Palani Santi.
Kim
Next
Chintayati.
one is Jambukaha Kim Chintayati.
Jambukaha
Jambukah
Adya Mama
adya mama
Draksha
draksha
Phalanam
phalanam
Bhojanam
bhojanam
Iti
iti chintayati.
Very good. Jambukaha Adya Mama Draksha Palanam Bhojanam iti Chintayati. Good order. Okay. Adya Mama Draksha Palanam Bhojanam iti Jambukaha Chintayati. You can put Jambukaha close to Chintayati also, not a problem. Okay. Or you can lead off with Jambukaha. Then Jambukaha quote open Adya Mama Draksha Palanam Bhojanam quote closed iti Chintayati. Quote open, quote close is your convenience. Sanskritam doesn't require it. It's implicit. When the iti comes, we know how to read it. Next question, last question. Jambukaha kim vadati ante? Kim
Draksha
vadati?
Jambukah
Phalani
draksha
Amlani Iti
phalani
Vadati.
amlani iti
Iti
vadati.
vadati. Jambukaha drakshapalani amlani iti vadati. Very good. So you guys may expect a few other different types of variants of these questions. So for example, one question can be Jambukaha drakshapalani praptum kim karoti? Then your answer will be Jambukaha drakshapalani praptum punaha punaha utpatati. Like that. Okay. So many derivative questions can come. Just be ready to answer them. So let us quickly read it once before we conclude. I'm just going to mute everyone. Thanks for participating in actively answering the questions. So, Katha Moodha Jambukaha Ekah Jambukaha Asti. Saha Ekada Aharartam Vane Brahmati. Ekatra Saha Drakshalatam Pashyati. Latayam Anekani Drakshapalani Santi. Tani Pakwani Api. जम्बूकः चिन्तयति अद्य मम द्राक्षाफलानां भोजनम् इति द्राक्षां लब्धुम् उपरि उत्पतति सः किन्तु द्राक्षाफलानि न प्राप्नोति जम्बूकः पुनः पुनः उत्पतति तथापि फलानि न प्राप्नोति जम्बूकः कुपितः भवति सः तानि द्राक्षाफलानि दूषयति द्राक्षाफलानि आम्लानि इति वदति Anantaram saha swasthanam nirgachati. Okay. So try to practice this. Children will love it. Those of you who have the opportunity to spend some time with your grandkids who are having open ears to you, please use the time to read these stories to them from the book and then explain to them. They will love you for that. Okay. Okay, so with that we call it a day. It's also time to learn about time, but since it's time to close the class, we are going to postpone our time to learn about time to next time, which is next Saturday. Okay. So sorry for that stupid pun. So with that, let's do a prarthana. Unless you have some questions, we can postpone the prarthana before and take the questions. Any questions at this time?
Sir,
Huh.
We have a class on Thursday also now.
Who said, sir? No, we don't have. In our group, I don't have. You may end up being in two groups. You may have seen some message in another group.
Yes, I did.
Our group, which is Gana, whatever is the Gana number.
Pravesha.
EN3, Gana 3.
Yeah,
I am teaching under Gana 3. Okay, if you see, even my title says English G3.
Yes,
so the class for us is next Saturday again. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम
Harihi Om.
हरि ओम नमस्ते